UPS drivers are grabbing headlines across the country for being awarded salaries of $170,000 a year for doing deliveries. It sounds amazing. But if this is even true, it's a good news story that is covering up a trend that has cost you dearly. There is a reason these delivery drivers are making six figures and you aren't.
Then it all began to shift. There's no correlation now between productivity and wages. Folks in the middle class are in trouble.
Record-breaking jobs growth, wages aren't growing as fast as expected, and many economists aren't sure we're going to see much of a pickup from here.
Last month, the union representing 340,000 UPS employees, including drivers, threatened a major strike unless the company renegotiated contracts around pay, benefits, and conditions. The company came to a compromise over all of these points. The union wanted air conditioning in all vehicles, and the company compromised by offering air conditioning in all new vehicles.
That cargo area where all the packages are kept, it's pretty much like opening up a big oven and walking into it.
The union also wanted clear language about drones and driverless vehicles that could take workers' jobs. The company can still use new technologies, but now it needs to inform workers and the union before it does. And most importantly, the union wanted a significant pay raise for workers, which the company did agree to, but it will come into effect over the next 5 years.
Teamsters want a very strong contract, and we want a very strong contract for ourselves, and of course, we want it for the future.
According to data from the U.S. Census Bureau, wages for average Americans have been stagnant since the 1970s, and according to a Bankrate survey of 2,500 Americans, people need a salary of $233,000 a year to feel financially comfortable. That's more than 3 times the median household income, which is $71,000 a year. But it is in line with the amount that the average household would be earning if wages kept up with productivity. If that did happen, the $170,000 that UPS drivers negotiated would make them below average earners like you would expect unskilled drivers to be. But instead, their incredible earning power is making headlines. There are 3 reasons why UPS drivers are making this much money, and 3 reasons why you are not. The first reason is that the earnings of UPS drivers have been exaggerated, but not in the way that you would expect.
What do you mean by that?
The media, being the media, has taken the number at face value.
$170,000 a year.
Will soon earn an average of $170,000 a year.
Top-rate drivers for UPS will now be earning $44.26 per hour. At 40 hours a week, 52 weeks in a year, that is an annual pay of $92,000, a good income, but $78,000 less than what is being reported. Base pay is going to continue to increase over 5 years to $49 an hour, which would make annual pay $102,000 a year. Another $23,000 has been negotiated for full-time drivers as a contribution towards the company's pension plan. The company also provides good medical insurance to workers and their families. The fourth component is rates for overtime, which will now be more than $60 an hour. By adding everything up, the company and the union have estimated that the average driver would need a $170,000 a year job to replace their delivery job. That might be a distinction without a difference, but there is a reason you have been hearing so much about it. The union wants to broadcast this success because it is a great result for their members, and it can attract more people into the industry to join the union to negotiate for the same deal.
UPS workers should be paid more and have more benefits. I don't know. Then we're going on strike. Wait, let's talk it out. For starters, all UPS union employees should receive a $275 hour raise this year. Okay, really? Okay, sign here.
UPS, the company, is also doing a lot of press around these negotiations because they know it is great publicity for their company when it's getting harder to attract new workers in difficult blue-collar jobs like trucking. Most of the stories don't mention that most UPS delivery drivers are not full-time and won't receive the same benefits. The strong earning potential of full-time drivers is the best tool the company has to keep its part-time workforce happy with limited hours, limited benefits, and limited pay because they are holding out for the hopes that one day they can become a full-time driver and make the money they kept hearing about. Even drivers that do make it to full-time are going to work extremely hard for their money. To make the $170,000 package that is getting so much press, a full-time UPS driver needs to work an average of 15 hours of overtime every week. Delivery drivers and truckers already work unusual hours, so reports of these roles putting significant strain on family life and a healthy lifestyle are common.
We have some lower seniority drivers that haven't known what it's like to work less than a 12-hour day for years.
Now, maybe you already work overtime in a stressful job, and the only difference is that you are not getting paid any overtime for it. Professional white-collar jobs rarely have formal overtime, so if you work in one of these roles, the only compensation you are going to get for putting in extra hours is keeping your job or maybe a promotion if you are lucky. And there are two reasons for this. The first reason is that white-collar work is typically less operational. The company you work for doesn't make any additional revenue for every TPS report you file, but UPS does for every additional package delivered. The second reason is that if you work a professional office job, you typically could earn more money over your career by being awarded high-level management positions. The overtime you do as a junior is paid for with professional development. It's bullshit, but most white-collar workers consider themselves better than clocking in and clocking out for overtime, so they don't fight as hard to be compensated for the hours they work. Under the Fair Labor Standards Act, high-level management and executive employees are not entitled to overtime compensation. To take advantage of this, a lot of companies give junior-level white-collar employees phony titles like sales executive. The employee gets a small ego boost, and the company doesn't have to pay overtime. So it's time to learn how money works to find out if delivery drivers earning $170,000 a year should be the new normal instead of grabbing headlines. This week's lesson was sponsored by Ethos. Life insurance is a topic that often gets pushed aside. It's a sensitive subject, but being prepared for the worst-case scenarios is a smart move. I've discovered a company called Ethos that simplifies the process of buying life insurance. A 2022 Brookings study revealed that it costs about $311,000 to raise a child, not even considering college tuition. Having life insurance at the time of passing can ensure your children will have the financial support to grow and live the life you envision for them. Traditionally, life insurance has been confusing, expensive, and time-consuming. Ethos focuses on creating a seamless customer experience with a 100% online application process. By eliminating medical exams and blood tests, Ethos helps people get coverage in minutes instead of weeks. All it takes is answering a few health questions online. According to Investopedia, each year that you delay purchasing life insurance, your premiums increase in cost by 8 to 10%. It's crucial to lock in your rate now. The sooner life insurance is bought, the more affordable it's likely to be. Life insurance is a safety net for the worst-case scenario. It's not just about you, it's about protecting those you love. Ethos is the solution for a seamless and affordable life insurance experience. Check out the link in the description below for your free life insurance quote. Get your own personalized free quote today by clicking the link. The second reason that full-time UPS drivers are making more than you is because they have a lot of negotiating power because they are hard to replace. Total compensation is a function of how well you or a collective body like a union can negotiate, how much money you can make the company, and how hard it is to replace you.
What are the remaining sticking points in this negotiation?
Completely economics. We've got 95% of the contract negotiated, all favorable for our members, no concessions. And UPS just is balking at rewarding the people that make them the success that they are.
If you aren't making as much as a UPS driver, it's simply because you aren't maximizing one or more of these three variables. UPS has strong earnings per employee, with the average worker in the business contributing $191,000 per year in top-line revenue across the 220 countries and territories it operates in. The company does not release financials specifically for the American market, but it's likely that earnings are higher for workers in America because it is a large market with a strong appetite for e-commerce, which is fulfilled by companies like UPS. A company can't pay its employees more than it makes in top-line revenue because it also has to cover overheads and return a profit to shareholders. UPS's earnings per worker are lower than most large companies because it employs so many people. Walmart, another large employer, had revenues per employee of $260,000 in 2022, but it had more overhead with thousands of large locations, inventory, and higher marketing expenditure. People do more thorough analysis on the fundamentals of a company they want to invest a few $1,000s into than they do on a company they want to build a career with. Negotiating is also something you probably suck at. A survey by the talent management company Robert Half found that only 54% of professionals negotiated a higher salary with their most recent employment offer. 66% of men surveyed asked for more money, and only 46% of women did. A more recent study by Pew Research on white-collar and blue-collar workers found that only 30% of those surveyed negotiated their pay when accepting their current job. At the same time, 9 out of 10 employees are open to negotiating salaries, and 85% of employees who asked for a raise were successful in negotiating one. If you don't seek out more competitive offers from your current job or move jobs to get a better package, a company is unlikely to offer you anything competitive. New hires are out-earning seasoned employees in most companies in America right now because companies aren't going to keep your wages competitive unless you make them. UPS drivers had the benefit of negotiating these wages collectively through one of the most powerful unions in America. But if you are hard to replace, you could have just as much negotiating power. And that's the third thing most people don't get right. They don't make themselves hard to replace. Driving for UPS sounds like a straightforward job, but drivers are expected to keep strict schedules and practice the 340 methods of the business. These methods tell drivers the most efficient way to do just about everything, such as buckling their seatbelts with their left hand while turning the ignition with their right hand to save precious seconds after doing a delivery. A neurotic attention to detail increases deliveries per hour and reduces accidents and damage to cargo. A driver fully trained on these methods will deliver twice as many packages and have half as many cost-incurring incidents as an untrained driver. But it takes a lot of time and money for drivers to become familiar with this long list of best practices. It might not look like high-skilled work, but a fully trained driver will generate more revenue and will be harder to replace than you will be if you are hoping to get a job as a graduate professional. Colleges across the country make millions of new graduates every year, but a skilled UPS driver has to be made in-house, and their knowledge of the company's operating methods is worth more than most business degrees. The third reason why UPS drivers are earning six figures and you aren't is because we can't replace them. E-commerce has cut retail jobs and created delivery jobs in parallel. A lot of other jobs since the 1970s have been offshored or automated. Delivery drivers haven't been affected by either, yet. Automated delivery drones and driverless trucks were a focus of union negotiations, but the most cost-effective way to get packages delivered over the crucial last mile is still a person in a van.
My concern is that AI won't be able to account for the things that a human can. I've got years of experience. I know to look down the road a mile to see potential hazards. 80,000 pounds, driving headlong unmanned.
A new driver hoping to make logistics a long-term career is taking a serious risk that driverless technology doesn't make them redundant, and to compensate for that risk, companies such as UPS need to match that risk with the potential for a high reward. So you probably shouldn't don the brown socks, but you should make sure that you understand the opportunities and the risks of your own career plan before committing too much time and effort towards it. The bonus fourth reason that UPS drivers earn more than you is because it's not a glamorous job. People are willing to take a serious financial hit just to get a job title with prestige. A 2018 survey found that 39% of employers give promotions without a pay raise, up from 22% in 2011. Younger employees seem more likely to accept these deals. 72% of people under 34 said they would be willing to take a new title without an improved salary as long as it sounded more senior. There are companies reversing this trend though. One of the largest private companies in America pays managers as much as 4 times market rates, but they don't get any fancy offices, company cars, or prestigious titles. Go and watch my video over on how history works to find out how this strategy built the second richest family in America. If you want to watch these videos a day early and get articles that will never be made into videos for YouTube, then subscribe to the email newsletter Compounded Daily to keep on learning how money works.